Hello and welcome back to Toy Therapy. I'm your host, not your usual toy therapist. I'm actually his partner, Sarah. I've hijacked the show primarily because this little guy here happens to be my favourite wrestler. He's the whole reason that I got back into wrestling a couple of years ago, in fact. I was a big fan way back during the Attitude Era, well, the tail end of the Attitude Era. I got really into, I was watching it all the time, got to watch WrestleMania 19, not 19, X7, the Extreme one. But I sort of lost track of wrestling for a long time until, well, my partner, Matt, started, he had the network and we would watch wrestling every now and again. And after watching a few matches with, of Piper's and just some of his promos, actually I watched a lot of his promos, I just found him to be just such an entertaining character. He was just so good. And today I'm going to be reviewing his figure. So the booklet obviously comes with the figure. And this couldn't really tell me too much that I didn't already know. However, if you don't know anything about Piper, it is actually quite good. Obviously, it has to keep to his character, because of course his hometown is not Glasgow, Scotland. But his music is pretty much right. His career highlights, I would definitely say he didn't actually win a lot of titles. Like he never really needed titles to be a star. Some wrestlers they have so many titles to their names, and it's like, well, if they hadn't won half of those, they would probably still be popular. Hence, as I say, Piper never won the WWF title, and it never really mattered. But let's look through the booklet and see what it shows. So it says his beginnings, so how his career began. He was, despite his look, Canadian, and definitely sounds Canadian, travelling along, starting his career in Canada, then coming down to Los Angeles, where he became quite well known. Moved up to Portland, where he became pretty much a legend. He was very, very popular up in Portland. He even moved and settled down and lived there with his wife. And then moved over to the WWF. Actually, first went to Mid-Atlantic, had some matches. One of his best matches, in fact, they've got right here, which is his dog collar match against Greg the Hammer Valentine. Non-title match, but he won it. That's actually a real joy to watch. Very bloody. Lots of blood coming out of his ears, which legitimately deafened him. Then we've got, so his other career highlight, probably my favourite match, it was his match with Bret Hart, because it was a face versus face match, and he was good friends. He was technically cousins, except they weren't, but they would call each other cousins, because they were both Canadian and thought they might have some family background together. But they had a match at WrestleMania 8, and this was sort of, Piper had already technically retired at this point. But he had a match with Bret Hart for the Intercontinental Champion, and he sort of put Bret over, which I don't think he did with a lot of wrestlers, but he was definitely willing to do with Bret Hart, because he definitely cared about his career. They were very good friends. Then it has some of his, sometimes I sort of feel like his career in the ring should have maybe ended after WrestleMania 8, because that was, like I said, one of his really good matches. He disappeared for a while, and then he sort of made sporadic comebacks here and there, including a match with Jerry Lawler, which was not great, and probably less said about the time he came back in the early 2000s, the better, as far as wrestling concerns. But yes, he actually did win the Intercontinental Championship, and this is the match he won it in, with his sleeper hold, which was his sort of signature move. He didn't really do a lot of actual like suplexes and high flying moves or anything, but he did usually win with a sleeper, and he beat the Mountie to become Intercontinental Champion. Not for very long, but he still won it. These are his rivals, sort of. Definitely Hulk Hogan. I mean, you can sort of argue that Hulk Hogan sometimes was only as good as the heels he went against, and Piper was definitely one of the heels that defined Hulk's early days in WWF, I'd have said. And of course, Bret Hart with him winning the title from him. Oops. $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, I guess. Yes, they did have a bit of a rivalry when Piper started managing Virgil, which was kind of funny. But Virgil very much needed the help, I suppose. And then we have his career highlights. So his match with Bret Hart. Cowboy Bob Orton, I know they were friends, obviously, in real life, as well as he was his bodyguard when he was a heel, and then when Piper turned face, the two of them had a match because Orndorff pretty much went against him. And then you got the one with the Mountie, not a very long match, but a fun one at the Royal Rumble. Of course, he was in the Rumble as well. He had his match, he won the Intercontinental Championship, and then he went into the 1992 Royal Rumble and did really well. He was in there for like half an hour. Shame he didn't win. And then Piper versus Goldust at WrestleMania 12, which was... It's hilarious. It starts as a brawl in the back, Hollywood backlot brawl, which I don't even know. Piper apparently won it, but there was no pinfalls. I'm not quite sure how that was supposed to work, but it was definitely entertaining. And then you've got him teaming up with Jimmy Snuka and Ricky Steamboat against Chris Jericho. I haven't actually seen this match. I haven't seen a lot of Piper's more recent, I say recent, but when he made a comeback in like the early 2000s and stuff, I even know he did have some matches. But I've not actually seen any of those yet. But since I am working my way through every pay-per-view, I will get to it eventually. And then obviously adverts for the network, and that is it. So I actually like this. I think they do pretty much pick out his definitely his highlights. And there's only so much you can say for someone who's had such a long career, you know. There's only so much you can put in, but I think they covered everything well. As far as the figure itself, it's a good pose. That is sort of Piper, I suppose, classic pose. Now, sort of when this is sort of Piper when he made a comeback, because he retired in '87 after WrestleMania 3, and then he made a comeback, sort of comeback. He semi-retired, but he made a comeback at WrestleMania 5, and he would do sort of commentary work. And this is sort of the look he had then, with the longer hair. It would sort of get a bit shorter, but this sort of longer hair look is definitely post WrestleMania 5, sort of late 80s. The actual work on the t-shirt is really good. I actually have that t-shirt. I wear it quite a bit. I do really like it. His kilt, the pattern on his kilt is very good. He's got a very simple look, really. There's nothing too... I mean, if they tried to get some of his, like the tiger panther sort of top on it, it might be a bit harder. So they've done really well with the boots. They got RP on it, so they got his initials, which they did. Knee pads, everything looks right. Like I said, the face is okay. I sort of think that there could be a bit more colouring back here. They seem to have obviously didn't want to get any on the face, so it's all gone into there. But I think face wise, it's actually not too bad. It's obviously not, I think, Piper's main expression. He's so expression, you know, he never sort of has. I mean, you would never see him with such a blank expression, to be honest. He's always so manic. So, of course, that's one way you would always recognise him by that kind of expression than just a sort of, blank one. But otherwise, I think it's actually a good, I think it's good. I would say it's even better than some of the action figures I have, because I have about 4 or 5 of them. I have a fair few. Which is why I was looking forward to this one so much. But yeah, I think it's okay. Like I said, they've definitely got the pose right. I think the outfit's really good. And I like the fact that you can even sort of work out, if you're a Piper fan, of course, you can easily work out sort of when he had this look. But yeah, I would definitely say, I'm trying to get the face more. It keeps going. There we go. More focus. But yeah, no. Looking at that, definitely looks like the main guy from They Live. That's the main guy from They Live. Look, that is. Yeah, I suppose maybe they could have done a slight. Now I'm looking at it like this. Maybe a slightly better paint job on the sort of red bits on the edges. I don't know. They don't look. Now, sort of looking under there, they don't. They look a bit. Look sort of there. Doesn't sort of join up very well. It's not very straight. So it's, yeah, but otherwise, no, I would definitely say this was good. So there we go. There's my review of the Piper figure and the Piper booklet, and yeah, I'm hoping maybe they'll release another one. Who knows? But no, I would definitely recommend it. I think it's good. Cool. And I will see you next time. And if you could like, share, and subscribe, my boyfriend would be much appreciated, and so would I. So thank you, and Matt, we'll see you next time.